Well, hey, Robert, glad you're here today. Thanks for sharing a little bit of your time and your day with us to
Oh,
talk
sorry.
about your experience on the Capstone course. And so if you don't mind, just, share a little bit about what project you had the students work on in this spring semester.
Yep. So our company's Hefner Energy. It took a lot of market testing for me to come up with that name. And our project for the students this semester was one which I hope was very, very, very pertinent to them at this point in time in their careers. And we picked Project Springboard here in Oklahoma's South Central Oklahoma Oil Province. So we had done a lot of work. We're one of the larger acquirers of mineral and royalty assets in the original Project Springboard, and we have identified what we believe to be projects Springboard 2, 3, 4, and now Continental's announced 5. So we had them working on what we believe to be Project Springboard 1, 2, and 3.
Man, that's fantastic, Robert, and really appreciate one, you providing the students with a project, and two, providing such a meaningful project. Not only is it a project here in Oklahoma, but it's leading edge and really being forward thinking in many ways, and having students put together technical skills and business skills. And our hope is that these projects would be not only meaningful for the students, which clearly this one was, but it also be meaningful and valuable for you and for your company. Could you help me understand and help everyone understand, was this the work that the students provided, was it valuable to you in Hefner Energy?
Yeah, absolutely. I'll start out by maybe giving a little background that I'm not an engineer. I didn't even get a degree in an energy related program. And so I was quite intimidated coming into this program with a bunch of engineering students and thinking I could even talk to them in the same realm. So technically, our company, we do not have a geologist, for example. We have all of IHS, not IHS, but Enverus's interpreted tops and LAS files, but we can't do anything with those. So one of the parts of the project for us this semester was to develop petrophysical models for the different zones involved in Springboard, which are the Woodford, the Springer, and the Sycamore. And the students really did a wonderful job of creating cross sections, north and south, really northwest to southeast, and east and west through the target zones. Not only identifying the productive members, but getting into net interval isopachs and the proper cutoffs to use in netting those zones out for their particular reservoir characteristics. So the cutoffs, for example, were very different for the Woodford than they were for the Springer and the Sycamore. So things like that were very useful for us. And it was very important for me at this point in my career to just give back. And so I probably got as much from this as the students did. They're energetic, they're fun, they have a lot of ideas, but it's also clear that they need that industry interaction. Otherwise, everything is too esoteric and too much in the realm of theory. So getting that practical hands-on experience, I could tell was really great for the students.
And I had the good fortune of sitting in on some of your team meetings, and you did a fantastic job, Robert. Formal training or none, of being we'll call it a pseudo engineer, and you really helped the students learn in many, many ways. And that was a really valuable experience for them to participate and understand your background and the different perspectives. There's so many ways to come at the oil and natural gas industry. Yours is from a mineral perspective and from a non-technical perspective, but you have such strategic thought and really good technical intent in your investment strategies, and for the students to see that and provide that kind of diversity of thought was really valuable for them. And I know it took some time for you to kind of frame that out and invest in those conversations with the student. how much time and effort was required on behalf of you and Hefner Energy to participate in this project?
Less than anticipated. So it can turn into as much or as little as you put into it, which I think goes for anything in your life. And for me, I was willing to go weekly with them. What happened is their coursework and their actual physical meetings for the Capstone course was every 2 weeks, was their cadence. So what ended up happening over the course of this semester was the students elected to meet every 2 weeks, which also coincided with their reports that they had to give to the faculty. And of course, we were dealing with coronavirus, so this semester was more unique in the sense that we had to also figure out how to communicate to each other through electronic mediums properly. So we added that component to it, but it was great. In fact, I even love the name that the students came up with for their company. They named it Big J Energy, and they named it Big J because there's 4 Johns or 4 J's. There's Jake, Josh, John, and Jake, 2 Jakes, and then there's E, Eric. So Big J Energy, the E for energy. I thought they got creative with that too, but it's really as much time as you want to invest in the students, and I was willing to even invest more time than I did.
Well, that's fantastic to hear. And you had a great team, and I think had good camaraderie amongst the team and between you and some of the industry advisors that helped kind of along the way as well. It was really fun to watch you guys in action and the conversations that you all had. And again, thank you for your time and your investment. And would you, given your history and your experience so far, being this is the first time you participate in this program, would you recommend that others, sponsor a project for the externship or capstone program? And if so, help us understand why you would recommend that they participate.
Absolutely, I would recommend it. It's a two-way street. Industry often complains that the kids they're getting out of these programs are not well equipped to step into their jobs day one. Well, if you expect that, you need to get involved so that they have real hands-on experience so that they know what to expect when they step into their jobs. Internships during the summer are one thing, but whenever you're giving them quite a robust project and saying, here, I want your thoughts. I want to know what you think, and I want to know how you interpret all of this data, and you tell me what to do. It's entirely different. They're not in a well-defined box with a set of rules anymore. They've got to think for themselves and use the tools available to them, including all the different software out there, to get that job done and in a good way. So one of the interesting things we ran into as an example where the students started using software, in this case PhD Win, and it's a little bit of a black box and it pumps out a result. Well, you get so close to that tree and you're so happy you've done the work and pumped it through that you fail to step back to 30,000 feet, evaluate whether or not what was pumped out's a realistic number or not. And so there's some of this just real world, high level thinking to where you have to get close to the tree and then move back and get away from it so you can see the whole forest. And I would absolutely recommend anybody that's wanting to have high level students stepping into jobs and really creating value. This is exactly what you have to do. You have to get involved. You have to give them projects that are meaningful. You have to be thoughtful about every aspect of it.
Well, that's well said, and I can't agree with your comments more. That and that's really what one of the things the Irani Center for Energy Solutions hopes to do is stand really at the interface between industry and academia, and help our students connect the theory that they're learning in the classroom to real world, real life applications, and do that in a way that is meaningful for the companies that are sponsoring. Our hope is to help kind of offload some of the G&A and kind of cost requirements for small companies, here in Oklahoma and elsewhere that just need some extra eyes and ears to help kind of advance an idea that may be sitting in the back burner. And you gave them a front burner idea, one that was meaningful for you and for your company. And that's just
Absolutely.
terrific. And just couldn't be more thrilled for your participation, and would love to have you participate in the future again.
Thank you,
Robert,
David.
any other things you'd like to share either with the students today about your experience, future students, or about companies that may be considering participating with the Irani Center in the future?
Sure. So I only got to interface with 5 students. I was not the only project in this capstone course, and I didn't get to interact with the other cohorts. Um, so I got to kind of impart some advice upon Big J Energy, but not the other students in the program. And the only parting thought I might leave them with is they're graduating into potentially the worst environment you can graduate into. I thought that I did that back in December 2008 during the global financial crisis. Turns out maybe I didn't, and it's now. So they're graduating into an environment which is very similar to the one that I graduated into. I couldn't find a job when I graduated, frankly. My wife was the breadwinner for the first few years of our marriage, and I thankfully figured out how to make it all work. But what my story really is, my story is a story of determination and persistence. And it might sound sexy to own your own business, but it rarely is. In fact, if I had a choice, I probably wouldn't have done it. I did it out of necessity, not choice. So all the ups when you're in this business are 100 stories high, but the lows are 100 stories below the crust of the earth. So it is a roller coaster. It's not for everyone. And to those entrepreneurs listening, stay determined, stay persistent. Even if you're intrapreneurial in your organization that you choose to move into, you never really know how close you are to success. So just keep at it. It took Harold Hamm 30 years to become an overnight success. So just stay with it. Persistence is important.
That's a great message for all of us, Robert, student or professional alike. So thank you for those words of wisdom and encouragement. Thank you again,
Yep.
Robert, and thank you to Hefner Energy for your sponsorship and participation in the Capstone program and in externship programs going forward. And we're just thrilled to have industry partners like you at the Irani Center and at the University of Oklahoma, and just can't thank you enough, Robert, for your participation.
Oh, thank you, David. It was a wonderful experience, and I'm excited to stay a part of it.
Terrific. Well, thanks again for your time, Robert. Talk to you soon.
Talk to you soon.